Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the summary for the day of 230 to 231 for the 11th and 12th of October for the Ukraine war, or the Russo-Ukraine war, or the Russian special military operation in Ukraine. So for those that do not watch the whole video, you are weak. So no, only the strong can watch the whole video. If you are Giga Chat, you have to watch the whole video. If you are not, yeah, it's okay, you can be weak. Okay, let's start off with weird statements of the day. Yeah, this is extremely embarrassing. So the Ukrainian foreign minister has been tricked by the Russian prankster Voven and Lexus, whom introduced themselves as the former US ambassador Michael McFaul. They talked to them, and then somehow this foreign minister actually admitted that Ukraine is actually involved or have taken responsibility, for the attacks in Crimea and Belgorod. So they actually have this snippets of the video posted by Intel Slava. I actually used Google Voice Translation, and Google translated the entire statement that he put. He said, "But if, for example, you ask me who blows up the Crimea or Belgorod, what is there?" So this translation is a bit weird. "I drown in private communication. How private can it be on Zoom?" I will tell you that yes, it's us. So basically, the Ukrainian foreign minister actually admitted that Ukraine is actually behind attacks in Belgorod and Crimea, and this is yet another situation of famous, powerful, leaders falling into all these pranks and trap that making them admit things that they would have never admitted in public. So yeah, so now the attacks in Belgorod and Crimea is the people behind it is actually the Ukrainian, and obviously actually don't even need to guess. Following on the trends of the country telling their citizens to leave, Ukrainian Foreign Ministry now recommends its citizens in Ukraine to prepare to leave the country due to a possible worsening of the situation. So they haven't told them to leave yet, but they tell them to prepare. And then another weird statement coming out from NATO, the NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg. I think he misspoke. I don't think he meant it to be said in this way, but maybe it's the kind of he just accidentally said what he actually thinks. That he said Russia's victory in the war in Ukraine will be a defeat for NATO, and he said that this cannot be allowed, which is why they are continue to help Ukraine to defend itself and help to liberate its territories from Russian occupation. So he says that Ukraine has gained momentum and continue to achieve significant success, while Russia increasingly uses indiscriminate attacks on civilian population and more importantly infrastructure objects. So yeah, that also sounds like he meant it. But anyway, it is still a bit of a hypocrisy, because when NATO go to war, they actually attacks infrastructures. So don't know what he's talking about. France also made another weird statement. So this is like a weird statement day. A lot of weird statements. Macron, the president of France, says that the French will not use their nuclear weapon if Russia uses nuclear weapon in Ukraine, because in France doctrine is based on the a defensive use, that if nuclear weapon is not used on France, they will not use nuclear weapon their own. So France have made it clear that they will not be sacrificing themselves for Ukraine. And then there is also this piece of news that 10,000 UK United Kingdom trained soldiers will be returning to Ukraine. So for those that do not know, United Kingdom, the British has been helping to train Ukrainian soldiers in the British way of fighting, maybe. And then this is probably the second batch. So here also noted that this is the second group, because the first group was actually involved, I think, in the fighting in Lyman, or is it in Kherson? So because it's not clear, but there are some kind of this kind of information, and this is the second group. So 10,000 trained soldiers, so probably quite significant. And talking about trained soldiers, there is information coming out from Russia that a new batch of mobilized personnel has departed the Tyumen region to the southern military district training grounds and centers. So the information by the Ministry of Defense of Russia noted the first train of mobilized personnel departs Tyumen region to the southern MD training grounds and center. And they talk about what they will be training. But so what is interesting is that there was already forces of mobilized forces being sent to the southern military districts grounds and training centers. So this might also suggest that previous badges, maybe the first two badges or first badges of the training, the mobilized troops might have finished their training. Because if they finish their training, then it opens up space for new mobilized troops to actually move in to take over the space. So maybe we will be witnessing the first mobilized troops coming into Ukraine very, very soon, given this piece of information, which is why I'm highlighting this. And so on the 11th of October, 2 days before today, the Russia continues. They announced they are continuing the strikes on military control and energy systems of Ukraine, and in fact the shelling continues yesterday as well, and it gave a lot of problems for the Ukrainians, as the Ukrainian surface-to-air missile systems are just not coping with the massive strikes by Russia. And the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense themselves also reported on the missile strikes, and they reported that 30 cruise missiles was used. There's 7 airstrikes and 25 attacks from multiple launch rocket systems. And then they claim that the 2 air targets were destroyed by the air defense. 21 of them are cruise missiles, 11 are UAVs. So the numbers here did not include UAVs. And they say that the missile strikes had hit infrastructure in 10 settlements in Lviv, Vinnytsia, Dnipro, Zaporizhzhia, and Donetsk. And then at night, they say the Russians use 8 Iranian strike UAV, probably kamikaze ones, to attack Mykolaiv region. They claim that all the drones were destroyed, so by the air defense. So interesting situation. And so talking about airstrikes or missile strikes, the Ukrainian themselves strike the Russian power substation in Shebekino. So there is this substation over here. The Ukrainians actually attacked it, so causing some power outage in this region. So while the Russians themselves strikes all over Ukraine, so some reports suggesting that there is electrical disruptions in Ternopil, and there's also blackout and a water supply disruption at Kreminna. And so what else? And in Kiev, Russia has struck the Kiev hydroelectric power plant. This basically is the dam here. They striked it, and then they also strike this power station, this thermal power station over here on the outskirts of Kiev. And not fully sure what is the aftermath of this strikes at Kiev region. What else do we have? So going to the air shutdowns, Ukraine has claimed yesterday, 12th of October, they have shot down 5 Ka52 attack helicopters in the space of 18 minutes. So they say that from 8:40 to 8:58, the anti-aircraft missile units of the Ukrainian Air Force shot down at least 4 attack helicopters. They presume it is Ka52. So and then they say 1 helicopter actually fell into the territory that Russian controls, and they are continue to attack 2 more helicopters with high probability that that will increase the number of down helicopters. So yeah. So talking about criticisms on the Russian side, reporting about shooting downs. This is the Ukrainian version. This is the story. This is actually the from the telegram of the Ukrainian Air Force. I just subscribed to it because I didn't manage to find this. So this is the, I only saw because of the sources people are sharing on Twitter. Then I went to hunt for it, and then I managed to find this. So apparently the Air Force telegram, go into details about all these things which is not reported by their special communications in their reports. So yeah, it's kind of weird where there is the discrepancy between the Air Force and then in the Ministry of Defense or the Army's report. And then according to the Ukrainian Air Force, they also said that at night yesterday, one of their fighters actually crashed in Vinnytsia. So they say the pilot ejected, and he's feeling good about being ejected and crashing the plane. And he carried out combat missions to attack kamikaze drones over Vinnytsia. And he said that they say that the pilot has destroyed 5 before feeling good. So then, according to the pro-Russian sources, Interslava reported that the plane is actually a MiG-29. So no one understands how this MiG-29 can get itself feeling good just by attacking drones. But anyway, so they say that is so the Ukrainians say it's due to technical issues. So no technical issues. So let's move on to the Southern Front. Over at the Southern Front, at the Mykolaiv Front, there's a fighting reported at Pravdeny. The Ukrainians sent recon forces towards Pravdeny, but they got ambushed after hitting mine, and then they got destroyed. Even the evacuation also kind of get hit by artillery, but still it's still fighting. There's fighting reported at Belgorod. Up to 2 battalion tactical groups has attempted to attack multiple locations, including Belgorod in this region. And so the details are a sum up of all these 5 different attacks. So it's no point to go through about all this. So there is fighting reported at Belgorod. So should maybe did not worked out. I haven't seen information about the loss of Belgorod. So I think the attack has not worked out. There further up northern part of the Mykolaiv region, there's a Sukhoi 24 shot down over Kristoforivka, and this is a Sukhoi 24 from the Ukrainian Air Force shot down by Russian Air Force. And so again, I have to emphasize, having planes shot down so far away from the front line suggests there is a lack of surface-to-air missile cover for the Ukrainian side. So this does not happen. So people say don't talk rubbish. You don't know what you're talking about. I tell you why I tell you this, why I'm not wrong in this sense. It's because earlier in the war, I have covered this war for 300 days. So sorry, 200 over days, 230 days already. I can tell you, for the first half a year, first 6 months of the war, you do not see planes shot down so far from the front line. Usually the shot downs are around the front line. The Russian Air Force do not fly into the Ukrainian airspace due to the threat of surface-to-air missiles. The fact that we have so many shot downs so far from the front line in the Ukrainian territory suggests that there is a significant lack of air cover or surface-to-air missile cover for the Ukrainian side. So this is where I get this information or this analysis. This is why this is analysis. Based on the information that you get, you make a deduction. So unless you know better than me, then okay lah, you know better than me lor. Go and start a new YouTube channel. It's already so many anyway. Moving on to the Kherson Front. At the Kherson Front, let's start off with a few of the helicopter shot downs. There's this is actually outdated. I think it's still 11. So there's a Mi-24 shot down over Mariansky. Again, you see it's very deep in the Ukrainian territory. I shouldn't change the color, what I'm doing. And then there's a helicopter shot down over Velika Oleksandrivka. And so there's 2 helicopters shot down over this region. The Ukrainians continue their Kherson offensive over against the new Russian line of defense. And this reinforced line seems to be pretty strong. The fighting continued to be reported as Sukhanove at Pyatikatki, Brozensky, Ishenska, and there is also an attempt to attack Brukinsky, but however it's not really fighting because they attempted to assault, but they were discovered and artillery, probably also air force, kind of forced them back. And reinforcement has arrived at Davydiv Brid after they set up a pontoon crossing north of Davydiv Brid, and accordingly these three destroyed pontoon crossings are kind of like irrelevant anymore. I will delete this in front of you, because the Ukrainians have set up new pontoon crossings across the river. Exact location is unknown, but apparently the traffic has been pretty high, which is why they actually created another pontoon crossing north of Davydiv Brid to help out with the traffic jam situation. And the Russian Defense Ministry also kind of very weird. They reported they defended against attack at Velika Oleksandrivka and at Novovo-Krenskoye. You see, Novovo-Skrenskoye. So Novovo-Skrenskoye. So anyway, this is implausible because it's so far from the front, and I have to put a question mark on this. According to the mapping by the Russian Ministry of Defense, they put the Novovoskrenskoye at Borozhenskoye. So maybe the Borozhenskoye used to be called Novovoskrenskoye, perhaps. But the Velika Oleksandrivka one is correct. However, even in their mapping, they do not claim control over Velika Oleksandrivka. So I have no idea why they said they defended an attack. Maybe they say the attack comes from Velika Oleksandrivka, perhaps. So, because they can't possibly be there when the front line is here, because they're still fighting in this region of Ishchenka and Borozhenskoye. So, yeah. And there is also reports of amphibious assault training along this Dnipro River. They said, according to a pro-Russian source, Ryba, the Marine Corps of the Ukrainian Armed Forces Special Force is training of landing of tactical troops on unequipped coast, and there is a probable suggestion that where they landed is around here. So they kind of like come here, they landed, and then they go back again for training purposes, I guess. So let's see how this goes. And then there's a weird report. Okay, so before I go to the weird report, over at the Zaporizhzhia region, so there is 3 Ukrainian boats spotted passing through the locks of the Dnipro Dam. So this is the dam here, Dnipro Dam, over at the Zaporizhzhia city. So through the locks, the 3 Ukrainian boats has passed through after doing some task over at Vono and Andreyevka, which is Vono Andreyevka over here. So they go there, do some stuff, and then they're going down south, down the Dnipro River. No idea. I saw some claims that those are gunboats. I have no idea what are they. Cannot verify this information. And then comes the weird information coming from pro-Russian sources. I would suggest take a massive pinch of salt on this thing, because it was not reported by more trusted sources like Ryba. They said that in this piece of information, 30 Ukrainian saboteurs reportedly tried to enter the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, according to the acting governor. I'm not sure governor of what. Is it a holder? So anyway, his name is Balitsky, so not very important. They say that they tried to get to Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant by boat, but they were destroyed. The boat were flooded. Flooded probably means sunk. However, this information is kind of underwhelming. No one talked about it. So take a massive pinch of salt about this. And over the rest of the Zaporizhzhia line, there's no fighting around this region. There is, however, reports of Ukrainian forces entrenching themselves over at Dorozhenka, and that's probably it around this region. Until the very end of the Zaporizhzhia line, we are fighting reported at Novodarivka, and this is the only one that was reported of fighting. It was reported by both pro-Russian source and the Ministry of Defense of Russia, and so the Ukrainians actually launched an attack over this location, and that's it. No, there is no other further conclusion to what is this, except that they said that Ukrainians take some small losses, and that's all from the Zaporizhzhia region and the Zaporizhzhia line. Over at the Donetsk Front, there's fighting reported at Novomayoske, and there's fighting reported at Mykolaiv. So this continues to be a sporadic fighting here and there, you can see all the spikes, former reports of fightings and attacks, but it seems pretty skirmishy. So, and then there's also no fighting reported at Stepney, according to the Russian Ministry of Defense, which then put into question about Solotke, and also put into question the fighting at Mykolaiv direction. So it seems like it's not coming from the south, but more likely coming from the east, because if not, the Ukrainians will not be able to come to Stepney. So a lot of fog of war over here. And in the latest report for yesterday, according to the Ukrainian army or Ukrainian Defense Ministry, the Russians tried to attack Marinka. Marinka is kind of like 2/3 under Russian control, 1/3 under Ukrainian control. So the Russians tried to push through, probably didn't work out, and heavy fighting over the past 3 days, including today at Krasnohorivka. So the latest information is from today, reported by War Gonzo, that the Russians are still trying to attack Krasnohorivka. I can tell you this town is going to be here, three months later, still under Ukrainian control. It's very unlikely that the Russians can take this town anytime soon because of the heavy entrenchment. You can see all the trenches, the trenching, the defensive positions all over the place, and especially this entire town is basically one massive fortification. So this is going to take forever. The Russians continue to be attacking Pervomaiske towards the direction of Netelove or Netelov or Nitelov. So anyway, the fighting reported on the 11th, and on today, the latest information is coming from War Gonzo for today. There's no other fighting reported around Avdiivka region. When I say no fighting, means there's no ground offensive or ground assaults. Artillery strikes are a given. Artillery strikes happens across the entire front line every single day. So in case you are wondering. And and that's all from the Donetsk Front, and nothing else to report around here. And moving on to the Bakhmut Front. At the Bakhmut Front, the Russians are continue to be reported to be fighting for Mayosk. Somehow this capture of Mayosk seems to be really nonsensical. And I will explain why later. Why this is happening. And the latest information is coming from War Gonzo that the Russian troops resumed attack in the area of the Mayoskaya railway station, which is here. So very, very awkward. So let's just do this. Let's do this. Yep. And moving on to further up north, there's fighting reported at Ozaryanivka, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. Reinforcement is reported in the area of Oradivka. Ukrainians sent reinforcement over to this location. And the further up north here, the Russians reportedly has captured Ivangrad on the 11th of October. They captured this location and caused some Ukrainian troops to actually withdraw from Ivangrad to Klishivka. And while they withdraw to this location, there's actually more reinforcement coming to Klishivka as well. And however, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, they did not agree with the capture. They continue to report that they defended themselves at Ivangrad. And so this means that there's still fighting reported at Ivangrad. Then here comes the part I want to talk about. So according to a post by Intel Slava, they reported that the territorial defense of the Donetsk People's Republic reported that they have captured Opaine and Ivangrad. So this is the thing. The militias, especially the Donetsk one, and always seems to be coming up with wrong information. I believe that the capture of Mayos also comes from this reportedly headquarters of the territorial defense of Donetsk People's Republic, or basically just the Donetsk militia. From my experience of covering, the Donetsk military or the Donetsk side tends to come up with all these fantasy statements, which always turn out to be wrong. But because the statements are always so exciting for the pro-Russian side, they're always getting propagated widely. So according to a post by AZ Military 11, AZ military reported that the head of the Wagner group, Evgeny Prigozhin, he commented that the news about Opyne and Ivangrad was under control of the LPR, the DPR. He bluntly just said, unfortunately, even quite respectable people runs ahead of the locomotive, basically, getting ahead of themselves. He said, indeed, 2 days ago, the Wagner group established full control over Ivangrad. And he want to emphasize that there is not a single person from any other units except for the employees of the Wagner private military contractors in Ivangrad. Opyne, he said, to this day is still under Ukrainian control and heavy fighting is happening in the outskirts. Therefore, it's not necessary to have wishful thinking. If distorted, often people will lose confidence in the sources. So he emphasized again that Opyne is under the control of the Ukrainians. So this is a good lesson for you guys, especially you guys who are the pro-Russian side. Always take a massive freaking pot of MSG and salt when you read about information coming out from the Donetsk People's Republic about war progress. From my experience, their information had consistently been wrong. They always go ahead of themselves. They mention captures of this place, that place, and it always caused me to have to backtrack. And this is a good example of this situation. Similarly, Ryba also have to always correct that certain things did not happen, and so this is something to note. Over at Bakhmut, the fighting continues to be reported even up to today. The Wagners are fighting in the outskirts of Bakhmut. So this entire front here is actually in charge by the Wagner private military contractors. So it's unlikely to see Donetsk People's Republic forces around this region because how the Russian forces operates. They actually separate the zone into zones of responsibilities. For example, the Bakhmut Front in this region is mostly fought by the Wagner group. Further up north, I think you have some other forces. If I'm not wrong, maybe the Donetsk People's Republic forces, perhaps, or the Luhansk People's Republic forces. I cannot remember, so I'll let you know when I remember or I see information on that. So fighting is continue to be reported at Bakhmutske and at Stoleda. The latest information is coming from again Wargonzo, because Wargonzo is a bit early today in terms of the report that there is fighting at Stoleda. And that's all from the Bakhmut front. Over at the Siversk Front, there is information that the Wagner PMC has captured this stronghold here. You can see, this fortification comes on both sides of the road, and this is exactly what was reported, that the detachment of Wagner PMC has seized a stronghold that was located on both sides of the Verkhan Kamanka and Berestovoye highway, which is actually this highway. So this is the exact one that's established pre-war that the Russian side have captured. So which means that the front line is actually more towards here than closer to Sperne. So anyway, fighting is reported at Sperne according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry on the 12th. This capture is on the 11th. So the Russian forces or the Wagner PMCs continue to push towards this direction. Sorry, what's this? Then there is this weird situation about Mykolaiv. This actually puzzles even the pro-Ukrainian analysts or people who are reporting on the war on the pro-Ukrainian side, because according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, they reported that the Russians attacked Mykolaiv. However, nobody knows which Mykolaiv. There's one Mykolaiv here, there's another one Mykolaiv here. And not just these two, there's also many others Mykolaiv all around Ukraine, and they did not mention a single thing about which Mykolaiv it is. So this also spells to the quality of the Ukrainian reports. In this sense, the Russian Ministry of Defense report after the reform of the report, they have improved their report recently, where they come into they actually write in details of the fighting, has now surpassed the Ukrainian in terms of the report. Previously, the Russian report was rubbish, so now the Ukrainian ones look like rubbish in comparison to the Russian ones. So hopefully the Ukrainians will improve it, but unlikely, because the Ukrainians always say that they were not going to tell you everything, or in fact they're probably going to lie to you. they actually say that. I'm not making this up. They'll probably give you misinformation because they want to protect the operational secrecy. So yeah, they don't want to reveal any information to the Russian side. So and yes, I want to emphasize, the Ukrainians literally say that their report is either going to be delayed, or sometimes the information is wrong, or sometimes they just don't want to tell you things. But that admission will happen months ago, so you're probably unable to find it. And we are now in the Lyman Front. So at the Lyman Front, the Russians have pushed and taken the entire eastern part of the Zaporizhzhia River, and according to the RIBA, their mapping shows Yampolivka as under Russian control. However, this alleged capture of Torske, this is reported by RIBA, did not turn out to be correct, as all the pro-Russian sources started to backtrack, saying that Torske is actually a gray zone. So this is kind of a common thing. So for those that say this did not happen, or TPA is making things up, I report as per the reports. So basically I report as is, and so you want to complain, you can complain that the Ukrainian side don't give more information. So anyway, at the Torske region, according to the latest information that is today, the RIBA reported that the Ukrainian forces is now concentrating troops near Torske, and they are reportedly preparing for an offensive on Kreminna. And on top of that, there is reinforcement and reserve being moved to Lyman, probably to support this operation, as well as another operation nearer to Terny. And this one, there's a gathering of Ukrainian forces near Terny as well, because they want to recapture this small town of Terny. And earlier, the day before, there is already reinforcement of 60 troops in Terny region, trying to they want to recapture. And the Russians are not doing nothing. They actually also been sending a reinforcement. The Bar-13s are being sent. They said 20 army. So maybe it's the 20th army. I'm not sure. So they're gonna send in forces as well towards Terny. So no fighting is reported on the 11th. There's no fighting reported after that. And the Ukrainians also dispute the capture of Svatove, as they reported they have repulsed Russian attacks over at this location. So that's it. And then on the according to the Bar-13 chief of staff, which is a volunteer battalion, they said that they have secured Chervono, Popivka, and Pischane. So previously, these areas are not firmly controlled, because the Ukrainians have been launching sporadic incursions into this region. Remember, I reported about this. So now they can actually firmly say that they have secured the region, probably because of this push. This how many kilometers push? 14-15 kilometers push to the river. So allow them to actually fully secure these two villages. And so going in line with the entire the river thingy, the Russian forces have captured Novolibivka. However, fighting is continuing to be reported over here, as the Ukrainian forces counter-attack to try to recapture the position. And that's all over at the Lyman or Kreminna front. Further up north to the Svatove Front, the Russian forces have captured Makivka as part of the massive push to the river. However, this also gets counter-attacked by the Ukrainian side, but the counter-attack has not been successful, because to counter-attack they need to cross the river, and crossing the river is a problem. There is an attempted river crossing at Novovodyansk. It was discovered, and then they got artillery strike. So it did not work out. Fighting is reported at Kamazhnivka, as also part of the same piece of information about the pushing to the river and then the counter-attack by the Ukrainian side. The Ukrainian MOD claims control over Kovalivka, as they reported a shelling in this location. No other information about this. The Ukrainians continue to attack Ryhorivka, similarly, to attack this location, you need to cross the river. The river doesn't look very big, maybe because of the height we are on with a satellite image, but somehow there is a need to cross the river, and yeah, it's complicating the attack. And similarly, the Russian forces captured Andriivka, counterattack at Andriivka, and the Russian Ministry of Defense dispute the capture of Stelmakivka because they reported that they have actually defended a Ukrainian attack, so causing a dispute around here. And there's a report also by the MOD of Russia that they are trying to attack this location. So I think this is probably the same report. Yeah, same report. Sorry. So because of this defensive operation report, this is now a gray kind of conflicted reports of who is actually controlling Stelmakivka. However, there is fighting reported at Kuzimivka. So according to the Russian Ministry of Defense. So I want to highlight all the information along the entire Oskil River front. This entire area, the information are almost exclusively coming from the Russian Ministry of Defense, because no one actually have sources on the ground. The Ukrainians are not going to report because of operational secrecy, and the pro-Russian side actually do not have access to the Russian military. So which means that the forces that is fighting over here is all regular Russian troops. They are not the militias from Luhansk or Donetsk. They are not the Wagner group. They are also not the Chechen forces. These are all regular Russian troops. They are the professional soldiers. So as a result, they do not bring phones to the front. They actually are very professional. As per all professional soldiers should be, even conscripts. In fact, by right, there's going to operation, you do not carry your phone. So because just by turning on your phone, you can be tracked. Your location can be tracked. So the Russian side have no information. That's why all the information coming out from here is all from the Russian MOD. As you can see, all the information is Russian MOD, except for certain information. This is coming from Raiba. So so over the Kupyansk Front, the Russian Ukrainian forces continue to try to push towards Svatove in the White Front, and there's fighting reported at Kreminna, and then there is at Tabaivka. Reinforcement is reported near Pischane, based on the latest information today. And then there is fighting reported at Kotliyarivka. So this information is today reported by Raiba. They tried to actually entrench in this small town here. However, they got discovered, and then artillery strike on them. They actually have to abandon the entrenchment operation. Heavy fighting is reported at Kaiserlivka. So maybe this entrenchment is actually trying to defend the southern flank, so that the Russians have to be pushed out of this settlement. So very very heavy fighting in this region. Very difficult operation for the Ukrainian side. And over at Olyansk, there's also fighting reported over here by Raiba and War Gonzo. So I think the information, but the way how I read the information, it seems like the information is all coming from the Russian Ministry of Defense. They are just repeating what was said. And then there is fighting reported at Peshotrasneve, and the Ukrainian MOD seems to suggest that they have some kind of control over Peshotrasneve, because they claim there is shelling reported in this area. And then they continue to be fighting today as well towards this location, and reinforcement is also being sent to Peshotrasneve. They say it's the 192nd Battalion of the 124th Territorial Defense Brigade. So they are being transferred to this region, and also as to Peshchanoye to kind of reinforce and replace the fighters that is fighting over there. And further up north, over at the Tavizanka region, opposite of Vorishna, the Ukrainians have entrenched themselves at Vorishne. They seem to have totally given up fighting for Tavizanka. There is partial withdrawal reported at Vorishne due to heavy casualties from artillery strikes. So we shall see, whether the Ukrainians are able to launch a renewed attack, or they're just going to concentrate on the southern side. As if you haven't watched, I think I have analysis on this thing as well. Do check it out. As I mentioned, this is not exactly useful for the Ukrainians to actually capture the northern part of this region, because it's too close to the Russian border. It's better that they actually focus on the south and capture Svatove, which I believe this seems to be what they're doing with a massive pincer of sort. You see, they are fighting across the entire front of the Kupyansk and the Svatove front. So anyway, this is the entire summary for the day of 230 to 231 for the 11th, 12th and of October. And do check out the quick updates that I've posted. And I also had a video with history legends, where we watched some Chinese propagandic military advertisements. I think it's a massive fun 2 hours that you can actually join me and Alex from History Legend, as we watch all these things. So something, getting away from the Ukraine war, sometimes it get very tiring, right? So anyway, this is the summary. Do press the like button. Do help to share this to your contacts who might be interested in the war, and also do subscribe if you have not subscribed. And for those that are still watching, like I said, only the strong can watch until the end. The weak will all give up. You guys are strong. You give you the medal of DPA Strong Giga Chat, and I'll see you in the next update.